guys, welcome back to our channel. I'm John, as you guys may know, and today is just going to be us. We're going to be talking a little bit about my story. And Emily and I thought it would be a cool idea to just share a little bit about ourselves individually because you guys don't really know. So, where do I start? Growing up was a little rough because as soon as I could remember, I always noticed that I was different. I wasn't like every other boy that I came across, and it was a little like I didn't think much of it. Obviously, I was really young, but it did affect me a lot because people will start to say things like, "Why do you talk like that?" or "Why, why do you walk like that?" or whatever it was, and it was a lot. And now that I remember, like looking back on it, it was a lot to deal with and a lot to hear. You're little, and all you know is what you like. It's not like you chose to speak the way you speak, and like it just happened. So, and then also coming from like Dominican parents and having to be this person that I really wasn't. Having to, oh, you're supposed to want to play baseball. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing dancing? And it wasn't really said to me like, oh, why are you dancing and not playing baseball? But it was always like, oh my God, look at how tall you are. Yo, you would be amazing at basketball. Or like, ese muchacho, ¿por qué no está jugando basquetbol? Whatever. Like, it would happen literally every day. Like, every day. Even from my family members, which was, which I get it. Like, that's all they know. But it's like, why do I have to play baseball? Why do I have to play basketball? Why does my height have to... Like, okay, great. That's great. I'm tall. Thanks. You want it? Like, I could give you my height. But it was always this sort of like, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're not right. you know so that growing up, I grew up with that, with that mentality, like, oh my God, something's wrong with me. I'm not I'm not what I'm supposed to be. So that in itself made me very insecure. Like, I grew up very insecure. I didn't like the way I looked. I didn't like the way I spoke. I didn't like a lot about myself, because I was always constantly just being told, why are you doing this? And even by my family, which is obviously the most immediate and closest people to you. And it wasn't, I know that it wasn't their intention or their hearts to make me feel like I was less or small or anything like that. But it was just all they knew. All they knew was that, oh my God, that boy's so tall, he should be playing basketball. Or, ah, my goodness, what is he doing? He's wasting his talent, his tallness, whatever. So yeah, I know it wasn't their intention, but at the end of the day, it really hurt me, and it really made me see myself in this way that it was wrong. Like, I saw myself like disappointment at times. Like, I was disappointing. And even for my mom, and my mom was a track and field runner, so everywhere we go, I don't know, people know her. Even when we go to Dominican Republic, like, she's like this star person. So it was like, oh, you didn't come out like an athlete. And then my brother plays baseball and basketball, and he was always this athletic dude. So for me, it was like, oh, and you just are. Like, it always made me feel a little bit like, oh, I'm disappointing my mother. I'm not carrying out like her legacy or whatever. Or why did I come out like this, and why don't I like to play baseball, basketball, whatever, whatever the case may be. What I wanted to do was dance. So it was always like it was a little weird, and it was a little like, oh, I'm wrong. I'm this wrong thing. I'm doing this wrong thing. So when I got older in middle school and in high school, all throughout middle school and high school, I was always very insecure. And people wouldn't be able to notice because it wasn't like I was walking around with my head down and sad and stuff like that. But it was like very internal. It was like I didn't like to look at myself in the mirror. And even though I put on this like front that I was very confident and I knew what I was saying, and I would be very loud, but it was all I don't want to say cover up, but it was all like a mask. Like, and I'm not really confident. I'm just doing this because A, it gets me the attention that I am seeking, I guess. It steers you away from looking at like my difference. You know, I realized that I would do things like be very loud and be very out there, and not being myself because I was trying to make up for this me being different thing. I wanted to be likable. So it was like, I'm going to be super loud and I'm going to be super obnoxious and extra, and you're going to just like me. So you're not going to pay attention to this different thing about me. You're not going to pay attention to the fact that I'm not a baseball player, basketball player. You're not going to pay attention to the fact that I speak a little different, because you're going to automatically like me, you know? So that happened early on, and it carried with me, you know. Like I stayed being like that because I learned that, you know, people, I was likable if I was very loud or if I was very extra, and all these things. Yes, it's my personality, some of it, but a lot of it was just extra, that it really wasn't me. But I'm like, okay, I know that I know that people like this. I know that I'm gonna have friends if I'm like this or whatever. So that happened. And yeah, I was always insecure about my body. I don't know, I was always chunky. Like when I was little, I was bigger. So that, yeah, I was very insecure about that. And yeah, that carried with me through high school. In high school, I was always this like this personality. Like I had friends and stuff, and I still, you know, my high school friends, I love them. But I wasn't truly myself. And in high school was really when I started being very serious about the Lord. Like, I always went to church. I went to church when I was 9 years old. 8 years old, actually. Dang, that's a long time ago. When I was 8 years old, and, you know, as an 8-year-old in church, it was like, okay, great, cool, I'm here. And I always used to hang out with, like, my church friends and stuff. But I didn't give my life to Christ. I didn't know what it was to live a Christian life. You know, I was a kid. And I wasn't really, it's not like I was going around doing horrible things in the world, but I didn't have this personal relationship with God, you know. When I was like 13, I started getting really serious, and I saw what the Lord did in my mom and all these people, and it was like, okay, God is real. And I was hearing about him all this time in church and stuff, but you know, there was still this like emptiness inside of me, because at the end of the day, I didn't have a relationship with him. I didn't really know him like that, you know. So when I became serious about God, those were things that I had to deal with, like my insecurity, and those were things that God dealt with me. And it wasn't easy to be looked at and loved by a God, you know, by God who doesn't push you away, doesn't say, oh, you're too different, nothing like that. It was very like, oh, this is different. It was just learning to be loved by God, you know, learning to be loved and learning that you're perfect because he made you, you know, I was made in his image, and I'm worth it. I'm worth dying for, because that's actually what he did, you know, and I'm not a disappointment to him, and he made me the way that I am, and he placed, you know, pieces of his heart in my heart. I had to embrace this new journey of, like, you know, just loving myself, because I wasn't really taught to love myself, and it was a journey, you know. I had to learn to love myself and love everything about myself, love my voice, love everything, because it's like God made me, you know. God made me the way that I am, and yes, there's things that you can change, but you know, knowing who you are only happens when you know God. You know, when you get to know God is the only way you're gonna get to really know yourself, because he made you. I know that I can stand up, you know, and speak to other people, speak to the young peoples, and tell them, you know what, you do have a purpose, and it doesn't matter what people say, and it doesn't matter that you're different or anything like that. What matters is that you know him, and that you just get to walk with him. And now people may see me and be like, oh, he's so confident, or he's cocky, or whatever it is. But in reality, I don't think I'm cocky or whatever, but it's this newfound confidence in knowing who I am and knowing who my dad is. Also, if you're in this place of like, oh, it's never gonna happen, I'm always gonna be depressed, I'm always gonna be insecure, I'm here to tell you that that's not true, you know? That he is real and he can change any situation, you know? So I just want to encourage you guys to find yourself and find yourself in God, because it wasn't until I was able to do that that I started loving myself and I started knowing who I am, you know? And I started embracing the fact that he made me the way that I am. And today I can walk around with a smile and with confidence knowing that I'm a son of God. And that's my title above everything. Like, I'm a son and then comes everything else. So that's enough. So guys, remember, you're known and loved. Adventure waits you, yes, and every day's a Sunday. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Press the little bell icon for alerts, and share us. Follow us on Instagram, Sondaze vlog, and we love you. Well, I love you because Emily's not here. Stay tuned for Emily's video on Monday and for our video on Friday, guys. We post every Monday and Friday, so just stay on the lookout and live a life of Sundays.